Hello everyone, I'm Ryujin Rising, and this video, like the last one, is both my reaction and 5 takeaway style afterthoughts review to Chapter 2 of RWBY Volume 8, Refuge. Yet again, I recorded a full reaction video, but ultimately I decided to just give a couple quick highlights for many reasons, but mostly since I will not keep doing them this volume. I want to be able to make weekly afterthoughts review videos, extra videos on whatever topics when I have the time for them, and shitposts as they arise. So that combined with a full-time job means I'm definitely not reacting if I expect to get the rest remotely done. And I'm actually confident I can do more than just weekly chapter reviews. So before the review, here's a couple minutes of the reaction video. Okay, Robin and Crow. Robin and Crow.
This is your fault. You realize that, don't you? All I wanted was to bring people together, to give them a chance at a better life. But you...
Me?
Jacques, okay, I'm like, who's she talking to?
I admit I was
duped.
You!
A victim.
And although my hands may not be clean, at least I am not a murderer.
You are, though. You are, though. And neither is he. Hey, back with the kids.
The crater? Are you sure it's safe out there?
Absolutely, man.
Hey, she gets a voice. She gets a voice. I mean, it's not, but it's the safest you have.
Heads up!
And this is the grenade. I think people saw this pre-release footage. There was some sort of like teaser with some AR app or VR app or something like that. AR.
Way better than Hoverbike. We'll have a grim-free journey all the way to the crater.
Do we really gotta shack up with those animals down in the slums? I'd feel a lot safer being up in Atlas.
Yeah, I'm sure you would. But the people up top have decided you're not worth the trouble. The
That's
Faunists,
true.
on the other hand, have been willing to lend all the help they can, regardless of whether or not you deserve it.
Get
So,
called out.
let's
Let's
go get our
go.
things then.
You didn't bring them already? You didn't bring them already? You've been here. I don't...
Don't want to go to the slums. General Ironwood said we were going to Atlas. You're setting a bad example.
He's masking their emotions. He's not making them apathetic. Why do they look a little too apathetic right now?
It's fine.
And yet,
They don't look
it's something
down.
I'm
They
becoming
look
increasingly
apathetic.
concerned about. Our two souls are still on the inevitable path to becoming one.
But I don't want that.
Neither do I.
Yeah, Ozpin wants to die.
Hey,
That's
you
the
good?
thing.
It's just a lot to focus on.
You can do it, Ren.
He doesn't want
Almost
to
to the
keep
crater.
I don't
doing
need a
this
pep
with
talk.
people.
I need to focus.
So that's my that's
We need to find a way.
that's
to
where
work
I'm coming
together.
from with Ozpin. Is
Not
like
just the two of us.
he wants Ozpin or Oscar to live by himself and live freely, and I think that's where this is going to end. I think there's some way for Ozpin to just be able to rest and give Oscar his life, which he could not do to probably thousands of people.
The pneumatic tubes allow for dust refined in the crater to be sent straight up to Atlas. We just need to find the one for the military base.
Are there any buildings in Atlas that your family doesn't own?
That isn't relevant at the moment.
Oh God.
And the general, he said people were going to die because of me.
That was a lie. And he was only saying it to hurt you.
Yeah,
I
he
was the
was
protector of Mantle.
grooming the hell out
But
of
now,
her.
I am much more than that,
She's a maiden.
and I wish I was not. But you're still you, Penny.
The lighting in here, I don't think
By
we've ever
becoming the
seen
Winter
this
Maiden, you did protect
like sort of
Mantle.
brownish lighting, and I like it a lot.
Thank you, Ruby.
She would cry
it.
if she could right now.
I suppose there's no turning back now.
Are they gonna
Between our
just
secret
shoot
weapon and
themselves
my
up?
defense, you all couldn't be in better hands.
So how do we use this thing? It should be simple. If you lie back in the tube and press launch...
Why did I not think that was going to happen? Why did I think it would have been safe?
You cleared 7 already. That's great. To be honest, I wasn't sure how you'd be doing without all of your teammates.
What does that
Well,
mean?
As you can see, we're doing just fine.
What is that supposed to
upsetting
mean?
everyone.
Jeez. Also, the
We're working
animation
to get most of
for
them
her
settled
little
in houses
hops.
or other shelters.
Gosh.
A large portion of the community is also trying to get old mine shafts into a livable condition.
The little kids
got a
running
lot of
around while
people
they
to
still
keep
can.
warm.
Oh, they have a little kid
Looting the
faunus. I
SDC
didn't see them
refineries is our
before.
best
That's the
source of
same one from the
dust.
slums earlier, right?
Fortunately, no one's
Same
getting
adult.
arrested during the apocalypse.
V, we got another fight breaking out.
Oh, him too.
Crap.
Okay.
Thanks, Uncle. We'll handle it.
I'll handle it. You've got enough to worry about.
Wow. Wow, those cracks though.
We spotted a decent-sized group of Grim moving in from the east. Can't take them with all these civvies.
Oh, for crying out loud.
It's a future cube from Red vs. Blue.
Did he say east?
Like the chorus trilogy? I thought he said Weast.
All right, we need to hurry this up and take...
Okay.
What just happened?
Is that, no, they're fine dealing with somebody else
never
right
seen
now.
Grim
We don't
act
need
that
to
way
attack
before.
them.
But what were they running from?
Another Grim. Another Grim. The Salem's Grim that is going to take Oscar and bring him to her. Probably the smartest Grim that we've seen attack the heroes as of yet, and he has... Okay. No eyes? No eyes? Does it have wings? Is it gonna grow wings, and that's why Salem had wings in the opening? This is some Naruto shit. This is some Sasuke shit right here. If it is wings. Yeah. Remember when Volume 4, the RWBY character short, the Grims were using tools, they were throwing bricks? And that was, oh, they're smart.
But Grim aren't that smart. Give him back!
So he didn't grow wings. Is he gonna be in a new Uchiha?
Did it just...
It's finally growing the wings, okay. That goop though, oh no. Okay, yes, it's finally growing the wings, and I believe these are the wings that Salem had in the trailer. Is it a vessel for Salem though as well? Like how connected to Salem is this Grim? So it was like a lieutenant level of a Grim for her.
What's your status? West Side's taking damage.
What do we do?
Kids, what's your status?
We've got an emergency. We're not gonna make it.
What? What kind of emergency?
You wouldn't believe me if I told you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. Can they fly though? Or can they just hover over the ground slightly? And not enough. And we back. If you'll notice, I didn't catch that the Grim literally talked. And that snowballed into my first takeaway being that not enough has been happening so far this volume. I went on for a good 10 minutes after the reaction about how Volume 7's structure ultimately felt so much better than what we're getting so far, and I do still agree with that to a point. But I feel a lot better about Chapter 2 now that I know that the Grim talked. So my first takeaway from Chapter 2 is that Volume 8 hasn't been exactly as episodic as Volume 7 so far. It feels more like it's meant to be watched as a movie, relatively speaking, which I've already made a video about and talked to death already back in the middle of Volume 7, so if you're interested, I guess go check that out. That being said, Volume 8 is still a heck of a lot better than Volume 5's Snail's Pace. And Volume 4 moved 6 story arcs in its time. RWBY's, Weiss's, Blake's, Yang's, Oscar's, and Team Witch's. So it was hard to feel one definitive pacing from it, so it felt a lot more like a movie. Yet I'll sing Volume 4's praises all day. I mean, Volume 4 moves those 6 arcs along well for what they are. Volume 8 is doing a hell of a lot better than that, just not quite what Volume 7 was, where every chapter really stood for that point in the arc. Of course, it's only the second episode of a 14-chapter volume. It's too early to make that judgment about the whole thing, though I do hope it gets more episodic from here on out. My second takeaway is that Mantle has never looked this good, this vibrant, this holistic. When Volume 7, Chapter 1 first aired and the heroes flew through and walked through Mantle for the first time, that was some of the best world building in the show. Seeing the miners pass through, seeing the heating units, the banjo player, the news bulletin, the election posters, the general malaise. I remembered Volume 6's Argus being great, and yet with Mantle we see it without the characters having to say it. That was Volume 7, and here in Volume 8, with the premiere but also really especially here in Chapter 2, Mantle feels more developed than ever before. Mantle shines through in so many ways. The most evident of it is the artwork, the background matte paintings. I mean, here with RWBY's team, we have the Mantle high-rises behind the slums. And of course, there's the wealth of establishing shots that show a whole bunch of detail, too. I mean, here we can tell that the Happy Huntresses put their insignia over the Atlas one on all of the tents in the mines. They didn't have to do that, like the crew did not have to add that. But you know what? You know what they did? But really, it's the background characters that do it. Getting to see that thirsty mom again, voiced this time, with her mother and son. Aside from the one scene of Yang sticking it to the grandmother, we see them entering the refuge site at the slums, and socializing with the Faunus family there. There's so many smaller shots throughout this episode. Faunus carrying in SDC dust since it's been looted for warmth. I mean, and there's the banjo player again. There's so many smaller shots that we don't need to see, that aren't vital to the story, and certainly would not have happened with Volume 1's Shadow People, but that will probably wreck our hearts when we see it destroyed or killed by the end of the volume. I mean, we do understand that if Atlas falls, it falls onto the slums, where they are keeping literally everybody in Mantle. My third takeaway is, let's talk about Ren for a second. Ren's behavior midway through Volume 7 until now is really starting to hit for me, though I've knocked it in the past. Both May and Fiona mentioned that the heroes separated themselves. Fiona just a tad harsher about it, and Ren just... So out of all the characters I could spotlight this chapter, Ren is the one who caught me the most. We're seeing him get right back into that Kuroyuri mindset, that Volume 4 mindset, where we're not going to find anything, we just have to press on. When they share a hoverbike, he and John, he tells John, we just have to keep doing what we can and you're not helping, basically. When he turns and walks off from Fiona, his actions are saying, you're not helping. Right now, he's stuck in that way, and Nora's absence isn't helping him because Oscar's not going to set him straight, Yang's not going to. I hope John, as the person who's seen him this way before, will do it. Or the death flags from the volume's intro are all the more certain. Ren is incredibly destructive right now, so I hope the turnaround happens sooner than later and that it doesn't get worse before it gets better, if at all. For my fourth takeaway, I'll highlight Crow. Just Crow. So very much in the same vein as Ren, he's stuck in his ways again, though this one only goes back to Volume 7. Volume 7 he prioritizes Clover over Tyrion, in Volume 8 he's prioritizing Ironwood well ahead of Salem. And I don't get it. I truly don't understand his behavior. Like, maybe he was always like this and his time with RWBY in the show proper wasn't enough to set a course correction for him, and when Clover died, it was back to square one? Whatever it is, it hasn't been fleshed out enough? yeah, in the big picture, James is using his position to do way more harm than good in the long term, but that's got nothing to do with Crow's motivations. According to Crow, cold-hearted Elysian loyalty took Clover away from him. So just in case it's not clear what kind of fall Crow wants Ironwood to take, like, bruh, it's gonna take a hell of a Ruby Rose speech to set Crow right on this one. And I'm only half joking when I say that. On his better days, he's got a lot of faith and trust in the kids he watches over, and if he can see more of that, he'll hopefully see better for himself and lose the revenge plot, even if Ironwood's death would honestly be helpful right now. If I had to guess anything of where that revenge plot is going, we do know that Ruby's team is on their way up to Atlas, and their path could converge with Crow's, and hopefully he gets better, but the way this was presented, I don't think that will be the case. And my fifth takeaway, which is always when I look forward to the next chapter or some point in the future of the show, I want to know who is Crimson. Here's what we know so far. He was on the radio with Fiona and has been working to evacuate civilians in Mantle. He is likely a huntsman. There are so many possibilities, but one I want to echo is what Klaxon had to say in a recent video of hers. He could be a White Fang member. Given that this is Mantle we're talking, and the race relations being as tight as they are when it's not an apocalypse happening, and Volume 7 having absolute zero White Fang content, we might now get to see what the Atlesian White Fang might look like when the apocalypse isn't happening. I do not expect a subplot of priorities that could take time away from the main conflict. That would be bad. I only would expect world building to come out of this. Like, is Crimson a ranking member? What manners of equality or equity do the White Fang fight for in Atlas when there isn't an apocalypse? Klaxon also did posit that Crimson could be related to Adam. And if that's the case, that poses interesting possibilities for Yang and her PTSD, as Yang's team is the one that would be likely to cross paths with Crimson. But Crimson at this point is just a name, and could likely only be involved in the plot for something well down the line we have absolute zero concept of yet. The rest of the volume is an open book, with the first act not even close to done yet. But with no last name in the credits, that's all the more reason to think we're not supposed to know his last name yet. Not supposed to know his family ties. So I'll be watching Chapter 3 and beyond for Crimson, and to see how episodic this volume may get. Alright, that's 5. If you noticed, I didn't talk about the Houndgrim at all. Of course, there is so much to say. I'll say this much, it was a worthy cliffhanger. As much as any cliffhanger could feel contrived, I believe this one was very worthy. It earned it. But I mean, literally everyone is talking about the Hound as good as it is to be in the conversation. I really don't have anything else to add to it, because everyone's already saying everything. Again, I will be doing chapter reviews every week, hopefully earlier in the week now that reaction videos won't be tied to them. So stick around for those, stick around for shitposts, and stick around for other videos as I get the chance to make them. Like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. I'm RWBY Rising. Have a good one.